This is Reworking Work, a video series from Quartz where we go deep with senior executives on the inner workings of their companies. All right, hello, welcome everybody to Reworking Work. I'm Anna Oakes, the editor of Quartz at Work, and I'm excited to have Athina Kanioura with us today. Athina, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much, Anna, for the invitation. So great to be with you.
Oh, good. Can you do just a quick introduction? I know how wonderful you are, but let's let our guests know.
Of course. So Athina Kanioura, I'm the Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer from PepsiCo. I've been with our great company for the past 2.5 years, leading, our digital transformation and strategy agenda for the organization, everything, technology, data, insights, strategy, and transformation for PepsiCo.
I love it. And there's so much good stuff, y'all. I'm so excited for this episode. So get your pens and papers out. So Athina, I know from having led transformations myself that one of the first tasks that you need to do is get the executive team on board and help them focus their energy. Was that tough for you? How did you go about it?
I wouldn't say it was tough, but you needed to have a very deliberate strategy on how you bring people along and then how you allow them in their own pace to understand, okay, what does the journey mean to them? Because everyone comes from a very different starting point. So, if you were to think, we have our CEOs, our sector CEOs, who, the main agenda is to drive the operations in the business, right? So for them, it was much more around, okay, what does this will do for my business becoming better and faster? So I had to explain the journey in the context of where they were, both in terms of their financial ambitions, but also their change in terms of operations. And then you have the functional leads, think of R&D, or commercial or supply chain, which was much more around, okay, how can we become much more accurate on how we make our products, and how can we become much more precise on how we help our customers drive better results. So, and I would say what I tried to do from a very early on stage is, one, make sure everyone has at least the same baseline of understanding what the strategy is all about and what transformation means for them, and then tailor the learning experience based on the needs of the business and the function that they were running.
I love that. You got to have your baseline. And, look, we want to feel like we're being tailored to, and honestly, we need to be tailored to, because as you said, people learn differently. They think differently. Athina, I'm curious, and I don't want you to sell yourself short, but at the beginning, I'm guessing that maybe Pepsi had more priorities, and hopefully after the transformation, they've had less. How has that gone with prioritizing?
No, for sure. Anna, I'd say I wouldn't say they had more big priorities. They had too many priorities, big and small. So, our CEO says, big changes to big things. And this is what we did. It's like to say, okay, let's see what exactly the universe of transformation initiatives is in the whole of the company. Let's prioritize. So we created the prioritization framework where we said, okay, how impactful it is for the business, what is the complexity of delivery and implementation, and then what impact it has for our people. So a 3-dimensional matrix. And from that, it was very obvious there were things that we were doing, which we call them hobbies. People like to do them. It's like, okay, they were excited about it, but it didn't have any impact on the business. So as such, we said, okay, no, these are the 10 big anchor things we have to do as an organization. We will rally everyone towards those big things, and we will stop every other initiative that is distracting the business from what is important, et cetera, et cetera. So exactly to your point, absolutely, it was about doing less things, but much bigger things for the corporation.
And that is the key, because honestly, I have yet to find an organization that when I go in there at first, and for whatever my role is, that I say like, oh, you don't have enough priorities. You're not really doing enough with your time.
Oh, you tell me?
It's like human nature. We want to take it all on.
And of course, I love our company and the ingenuity of our people and the entrepreneurial spirit. But it wasn't just that we had a lot of priorities, we also had duplicate priorities. So one group was doing things that was overlapping a bit with the other group, which was overlapping a bit with the other group. So unintentionally, it's just they didn't know each one of them was doing. So providing this visibility, the guiding principles and the prioritization framework helped everyone understand, okay, this is the right thing for the corporation.
Yes. Okay. So now we have fewer priorities, better priorities, less duplicate, duplicate work. I love that. Okay. So now we have to measure success. And I believe that your team did this value realization framework. What can you tell us about that tool?
Oh my God, Anna, you have become an expert. I can hire you in the company. Leading my transformation office. Yes, it's very early on when I came, we did a couple of things. One is designing a change management playbook. Okay, this is how we do change management. This is the process. This is how we address key gaps between, the foundational elements of change management versus the tailored learning and training experiences for the program. And the other big thing was creating a value realization framework. And that is not just a theoretical framework, which will say, okay, these are the KPIs that you track, and we just get feedback from the program leads or sectors on the progress. But we are actually using it as a testing mechanism, an audit mechanism of the programs that are being implemented in the market. i.e., we have to do A/B testing. Is the program bringing the value that it was supposed to in terms of both top line, bottom line metrics or other soft KPIs? Then, is it within budget? Are we, as we are bringing the change with these programs, are we killing other programs or ways of working that we used to do before? So it's a whole, I would say, holistic framework on people, impact, on the business impact, financial impact, and then core program delivery metrics in budget, in time, etc., etc. And we publish, because of the value realization framework, what we call a transformational scorecard. So this fits in a transformational scorecard to the executive team every quarter. So every member of the executive team knows exactly how each of the program is trending in their geography, globally. So we show and have visibility on the things that we should continue versus not if they don't bring the value.
Yes, good. What are we going to start? What are we going to stop? And maybe sometimes what are we going to pause? I like.
Totally. And we have stopped things. I mean, people ask me sometimes, okay, Athena, great. I mean, I'm sure, is everything green? No, not everything is green. There have been things last year because of that we said, no, we are stopping. Great idea, great initiative. We tested, it failed, didn't work out, we are stopping.
Is the value realization framework for you, Athina, where you're really able to bring, I mean, it's all about STEM because of the digital transformation, but is this where you really push into that?
This is actually where I bring all the functions together, Anna. This is not only about bringing the technical programs into the framework. We bring all the transformational initiatives in the framework. So it's less about the digital aspect of the capability or the STEM aspect of the capability. It's much more around, from let's take as an example, we are doing IBP, integrated business planning, end-to-end, huge idea for the company to connect the functions end-to-end. Yeah, part of it is top line, bottom line impact, right? Part of it is the technical requirements, to your point, the digital STEM. The biggest change through IBP is getting rid of all the different meetings on monthly business reviews, quarterly business reviews, supply business reviews, annual operating, because now the GM, the general manager, has visibility end-to-end on the business, has full control of the ecosystem. That by itself is also tracked in the value realization framework. So what is important mostly for Ramon, our CEO, is, what is the big change that these programs are is bringing, and how can we track it? So it is an end. We are trying to make it much more a holistic change program, and the value realization framework helps for the company.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So we've got a lot of tools and that's one part of it. We're going to share more on those in a moment, but I want to pause here, Athina, and talk about your team for a minute, your transformation team, if you will, because as a change practitioner and former head of people, I know how you have to work on that change. It's just as important as the change itself. Who is working on that change? So what was important to you as you built out the tactics in the team that was going to go about leading this transformation?
Yeah, number one, I needed to have a team that was half core PepsiCo. And I know it will sound strange for some of the people that knew the processes of the company, that were here for 10, 15 years, that understood kind of inside out how this company operates, and half of it from external. Because the easiest thing for me, Anna, coming from outside to say, nothing works. Let me bring my own people that I know, trust, or external that have done it in other companies, and redesign things from scratch. This is where probably my consulting experience helped me to say, no. The best approach is a hybrid approach on how you build a team. So first principle was, I want this team to be a hybrid between people that I'm transferring from other parts of the organization and then landing them to the transformation team, and people from the outside. The second big principle was people that had, from a skill set perspective, a major and a minor. And what do I mean by that? Your major might be, I am a data engineer, a technical role, but my minor is supply chain transformation. I didn't want either deep technical experts, not just only functional experts. I need people that drive the transformation who are hybrid in terms of the skill set, because everything that we do from a change needs to be data and digitally informed. So people need to understand the technology implications. But at the same time, it cannot be agnostic of the areas that we are driving the change. You cannot suddenly say, oh, by the way, you're going to drive net revenue management changes for this company and how we do pricing promotion, and you don't even understand the promotion mechanisms of this company. So this type of hybrid was very important for me. That was parameter number 2. Parameter number 3 was, believe it or not, also a bit the soft skills of the people. I mean, you come from this world, so you understand that the success of a team relies a lot around communication, around engagement, around people feeling very comfortable with the rest of the people that they are working with. So diversity of thinking, but also diversity of culture was super important. I didn't want one archetype in my team. I wanted multiple archetypes, because then that creates a much better blend. I'm not of the opinion that a homogeneous community of people within a function is also a great working community. Actually, I believe diversity brings a much healthier tension within a function, which then creates a high-performing team. So if you see, my team is very diverse, very, very diverse. I don't even know how many nationalities I have. Just in Barcelona, to give you an example, in our digital hub, we have 32 nationalities, just in one hub.
Yep.
So that was principle number 3. And principle number 4, in terms of the team and the capabilities, was transparency and visibility. So I've said to everyone, and this is part of their PDRs, I don't like heroes. I like high-performing teams. And as such, no one will be rewarded because suddenly they came up with this amazing idea and they did it on their own, on the side, without informing everyone else. But when I see teams coming together and they are doing things for the benefit of the company and they are driving the agenda further, this is where I reward people.
Right. So we have to stop rewarding, right? I mean, if a player coach model, just in its simplicity, if rewarding for playing and not coaching, right, then we're never going to get the coaching.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly the model we are following.
Yeah. And I know you push by this, Athina, but you do have an extremely diverse, team in terms of persons of color, but also females, which is a big goal for PepsiCo as well, right?
I know that's a very big passion of mine. And I wouldn't call it my personal bias, is whatever we do has to reflect the society.
Yeah.
Our society is 55% women. Right? Our target is within PepsiCo is 50%, not 55 yet. It's 50% women. And what I've said all along, especially when it comes to the transformational digital data agenda and talent, you need to start from the top, from the leadership. My leadership team in S&T is 50-50. 50 females, 50 males. Why? Because then whomever is coming the organization, they say, okay, I can be a leader, a female leader in this function. I can make it. So we need to lead the way by creating functions, capabilities, organizations, corporations who show parity, who believe in parity, and they lead by example. So 2 things for me that are super important. Of course, I believe in equal opportunities irrespective of where people come from. You are white, you come from the black, you come from Hispanic, you are a female, male, non-gender identified, doesn't matter to me, right? Everyone will have equal opportunities. At the same time, though, I want equal representation within the community of S&T, of what the society also is outside. So this is where we encourage and we give incentives for people to have a career beyond of what other companies are doing. As an example, females, typically you see a dropout when they have 1 or 2 children. We allow part-time, we allow less mobility, we allow working from home. Those are the things that would entice them to stay more. And the third one, which is super important, is of course education about STEM. Women in STEM is something that I'm the sponsor within the organization. We have an amazing representation, but we could do so much better as a company, as an industry and other industries, because unfortunately, and you know Anna very well, due to COVID, there has been a drop in the participation of women in colleges in STEM topics. So we collectively have to bring back, the girls in these fields, because this is the future. This is the future of this country. This is the future globally, and you cannot just do it by only men working into STEM professions.
Yeah, I love it when a company says, for example, for Pepsi, we're a tech company that happens to sell beverages, right? Like putting yourself forward about how much these companies rely on tech.
Totally. I mean, tell me one thing that tech doesn't touch in this organization. There's nothing. Right. Nothing. I think people believe, even if you think of how we create our products, it's if you go to any of our manufacturing facilities, the amount of robotics, of process automation, of control towers and usage of AI that you will see there, it will be mind-blowing for people. Our supply chain people, our plant managers, our engineers. If you grasp the STEM talent we have in this company between supply chain, R&D, transformation, IT, it's like mind-blowing.
Yes, yes. And Athina, I loved earlier when you talked about the major and the minor. I've never heard it put that way, but I believe that an important part of what PepsiCo did with this transformation is create that career architecture for those alternatives. Is there a little more you can share about that?
Of course. That's another thing that I was super proud when, and I love our CHRO and our HR business partners, because this was a great partnership with our HR function. We said, okay, the first thing we need to do to ensure people want to have a career in PepsiCo, and they don't see that as a one-off, I'm going to stay for 3-4 years and then move on, is to have a proper career architecture. So what is the definition of a career architecture? Number one, they can be me. Right? Everyone has an opportunity to be me, EVP of strategy and transformation for this company. So in every facet of the company that you are, okay, this is the way to go and become an EVP. The second is allowing people also to be a GM. And this is super important, Anna, because people believe, just because I'm now doing digital or data or technical capabilities, I can never become a CEO for this organization. No, now you can. because it shows the power of using insights and data for driving business decisions. And I believe in the future, more and more, let's say, technical in quotes, digital savvy people will be the future CEOs. So we created the career architecture for this talent that wants to have a career within, I would say, digital, data, strategy, transformational fields. And for those ones that are having those capabilities, but they want to be much more on the GM commercial track. This by itself has unleashed so much potential for the organization and for the people. The amount of feedback, overwhelmingly positive feedback we got from our employees on, okay, now I feel this is home. Now I feel it's like I'm not supposed to be in a company where, you know, I'm just tagged data engineer and this is what I'm going to do for the next 25 years. It gives people, you know, first of all, hope that we are listening, and second, a mission. And that career architecture is linked with learning paths. So depending on where you are, we have a personalized learning path for you with certification, depending, of course, on the depth of the career you want to follow, and which is both internal and external. And we track consistently. It's part of your PDR. It gives you opportunities then to use it also. You know, if you decide to go outside, it's another extra qualification. So, no, super proud about what we've done collectively. And again, you know, the role of our HR team on this one was pivotal.
Yeah, I love what you did because, you know, look, as somebody who tended to be a rebel when I was young, I sort of bucked the system. But the more I got into like actually how you run a company, how you change a company, how you evolve a company, you've got to have that infrastructure, especially from a career perspective, because people cannot be what they cannot see, even in that internal progression. If they can't see how they can get there, people like me are going to be rebels and try to fight our way in. But if you make it clear, we're going to retain more people and we're going to help more people be productive now and next.
Totally. I mean, the one thing I wanted to ensure doesn't happen is, okay, I can go there because I know X. Mm-hmm. It cannot be because of who you know. Right. It has to be because of a deliberate plan that you have the skills, you have the content, you have the capabilities, you have the experience to be considered for that role in a very open and transparent process. Yes. And this is what we did.
Yes, I love that. Let's shift a little bit back to the team itself, because I think this played into your concept of building out a center of excellence, because I think there's one thing to change. The other thing is to sustain the change. So what role does that center of excellence play with that?
Yeah, and you're talking about our hubs, correct? Yes. Specifically, yes. You know, this is a company that operates in every single market. Let's start with that so people can understand a bit the complexity of our structure. But at the same time, I believe, especially in the big problems where you need to co-create and you need kind of people to brainstorm together and ideate and then iterate and change again. You need to have at least some core locations where you allow for that. So we decided early on that, you know, those two locations to start with will be Barcelona and Plano, Texas, in Dallas, where we also have our PFNA headquarters. Because this is where, again, from extensive research, we have identified, number one, from a Barcelona perspective, and I told you we have 32 nationalities, has a very vibrant academic community. A lot of, you know, youngsters want to go and have a career there and want to live there and want to experience, you know, the European, Spanish, Catalan type of lifestyle, but at the same time, academically extremely strong in the areas that relate to what our priorities were. And Plano was the second one because we want concentration also of talent in an area where it's very close to our operations, and, you know, our Frito business is a jewel with our Cheetos and Doritos and, you know, Lay's and all our amazing products. But also where a lot of the mobility, if you see, of tech talent is happening right now, you know, especially from the West Coast. What is the role of the hubs? One is, as I said, incubation of ideas, but also build of those big capabilities. And as such, we have decided early on, this is where a lot of diverse talent will come and co-reside, from UI, UX experts, service design, process engineers, software engineers, data engineers, ML engineers, cloud professionals, infrastructure people. So you find every part of the stack, vertically and horizontally, from a skill set perspective in those hubs. And the beauty of the hubs has been that from the moment we established that, and we are increasingly kind of growing that, Barcelona is already almost 200 people. Plano is, already 150. We have accelerated the roadmap, truly accelerated the roadmap. Now, if you were to pair that with a huge muscle we have in India, in Hyderabad, an increasingly bigger team that we are building in Mexico, and then satellite teams that we have in some key locations, key strategic locations, but still important for the business. So in South Africa, as a hub from Southern Africa, etc., then it creates a bit of a network from a location strategy that operates 24/7. And this 24/7 visibility from a business perspective and sharing and calibrating and reassessing brings speed, for sure, de facto. And this mentality we have, always on and everywhere. So it's that's a bit our strategy. I mean, it's a very deliberate strategy. My intention is not to have people everywhere in the organization when it comes to this talent, because those people also want to be with other people. I think there is this misconception, oh, no, this talent can be on their own on the West Coast somewhere. Blah. No, they like to be around people of their own. They like to be very close to the business. It's in my town halls, and I'm diverting a bit, but it is important. 50% of the questions when we do a deep dive on the sector is around business operations. They're hungry to understand, okay, how do we do direct sales distribution in North America for our Frito versus Europe? They are so hungry, and also so hungry to help the geography that they are sitting. So can we do more for Iberia? This is the Barcelona team. The India team, can we help the India operations more? So this is what I'm trying to say. The location strategy is deliberate. You don't put them somewhere where we don't have a business.
Right. Yes. And, I think the last major tool here, Athina, we talked about the hubs, we talked about, a few other aspects that you're doing, but you mentioned earlier the change management playbook really briefly. What I'd love to do is just give an example. If there's a company out there who may not be ready to take on a huge digital transformation, but wants to start to equip their organization to manage change, which is an amazing skill to have. What can they do to build out a playbook, kind of that toolkit that you're looking at?
Yeah. Firstly, I'm pretty sure in every organization, Anna, there is something. There is a framework, there is a playbook. I mean, when we came, and it was because of good intent, we had 10 playbooks in the company, right? It wasn't a lack of playbooks. It was much more, can you have one single framework and a process across the company that all the enterprise abides? So my first advice is check across the company how things have been doing change, because there must be some type of process and documentation. But what you need to elevate that in a way that is much more enterprise tailored. I think people are thinking change in the microcosmos of what they are changing. A change management playbook is much more than that. It's around ways of working, is around culture, is around engagement, is around different learning experiences. So the way we said, okay, change management playbook is phase 0 of any engagement with everyone. It's not phase 1, phase 2, it doesn't come after. It's a precursor of every program. So this is what we educate first, and these are the facets of change. Document the facets of change. and then saying, okay, it will not be fit for purpose, maybe this change management playbook for everything, but it has to be good enough for 80% that we are doing. Right. And don't allow for people to do things in a slightly different way every time they want to do change, because then this is where you lack the discipline of the implementation. So one, standardization. Second, it has to be an enterprise change management framework. Third is it has to be tailored for the big priorities, not for the small ones. The small ones, you can do it. You don't need a change management playbook for those ones. It has to be for the big ones. And fourth, not everyone can do change. I think they think there is a bit of misconception. Oh, come on, it's change. I can do change. I can educate. No. I mean, the biggest gap that companies have is about change experts. I mean, truly change experts, holistically change experts. So I had to go and take people, and it's a combo. We're driving change. We have a hybrid team between our HR team, and my team. This is how we drive change, and these are our change experts. I mean, they are constantly being trained. They are constantly kind of thinking of the principles of what is changing around them, how it links with the measurement. So it's a core team. It's a SWAT team. And think of them as your black belts. So this would be my advice to start with. Huh?
I love that you call them your black belts. When I set up a team like that, I said, think of these people like you would the Navy SEALs. Like you call in the experts who know exactly what to do, and you still have to be involved, but they're going to come in and help you make sure that you survive it and maybe even thrive.
But I love it. I remember in the past where we had the Lean Six Sigma from a process perspective, the process people, I mean, the change people are a very rare species. So treat them with respect, give them the empowerment. And truly, as you said, Nana, they are the Navy SEALs. Huh?
Yes, agreed, Athina. Oh my gosh, I would love to keep talking transformation, but I know we're almost at time. So can I ask you one more question that's about
you? Of course.
Okay. So what is one thing that's not on your resume, but helps you maximize your impact at work?
Okay, and I'm very proud of that, but it's one thing that I had to put a lot of focus and I had to persevere, which is communication. I mean, it's like, I'm extremely transparent with both my teams and my peers and everyone that I work with about what we can do versus not. About what is the change that we are driving versus the things that we cannot accommodate right now. I mean, I'm saying no to things. So I think authentic communication, but with the ability to trace back everything that you do to what is the impact on the business is the number one thing that I'm very proud that I'm doing. I feel I'm doing very well. That's why probably kind of our sector CEOs, they are embracing a lot of the change because it's clarity of thought, clarity of communication, and impact on the business is super imperative when it comes to change. When you start confusing things, when you're starting to say, yes, maybe, I don't like the maybes, Anna. I mean, the maybes, automatically they put the teams in a situation where probably you don't know what you're talking about and probably you will not deliver. Yes. So it's always a yes or a no. Yeah. This is my strategy.
I love that because I think we can plant hope. Excuse me. I think we can plant hope as practitioners, but we don't want to lead them on and have them create.
Totally. And this is my advice to everyone who is leading this change. It's fine to say no.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not a believer that I should say yes to everything that I'm being asked, because now that people see the results, they want more. No, I mean, this is the bandwidth that we have. These are the priorities. Yes, when you want something, it might be in a future roadmap. So do say no.
Yes, do say no. I love that advice, Athina. Thank you for sharing so much of your wisdom and for your leadership with this, because it affects PepsiCo, but it also affects everywhere else those people go in the future. So I thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Anna. So lovely to see you again. I'm so excited about this interview. I can't wait.
Good, me too. And thanks everybody for listening to Reworking Work.